First, let me preface this by saying that we're not trying this DWI investigation in the media. Mrs. West is entitled to due process, just like any other resident in this country. Prior to watching the video, and as the PIOs laid out for you, I want to address the negative misrepresentations that have been made and levied against this police department and my officers regarding the reason for this car stop and subsequent treatment of Mrs. West. The timeline is as follows. On Friday, August 20th of 2021 at approximately 8:44, Officer Lydia Harris observed a white SUV type Mercedes-Benz traveling westbound in the 2700 block of West Northwest Highway. Officer Harris observed the Mercedes fail to signal while changing lanes. She also observed the Mercedes enter onto the shoulder and travel in between the shoulder and the right lane. Straddling the right shoulder, the Mercedes continued to travel westbound on West Northwest Highway while getting further and further onto the shoulder. The Mercedes did not make an attempt to correct the action of traveling on the shoulder, nor did the vehicle signal to indicate entering onto the shoulder. Officer Harris initiated a traffic stop in a 2300 block of West Northwest Highway. The Mercedes came to a complete stop in lane 2 of a 3-laned Northwest Highway. Officer Harris approached the vehicle and observed an infant in a car seat. Officer Harris asked the driver to pull off to the next road. The driver then pulled to the right lane, the number 3 lane, and stayed there. Officer Harris had to instruct the driver again to get off the main road and pull up to a less busy road. The driver stated that the reason she was driving the way she was because she was listening to her GPS. The driver finally pulled off a busy highway onto the 10200 block of Shady Trail. Officer Harris obtained the driver's identification. The driver was identified as Mrs. Angela West. Officer Harris asked Ms. West to step out of the vehicle. Officer Harris asked Mrs. West preliminary questions regarding medical history prior to conducting standard field sobriety tests. Officer Harris asked Mrs. West if she would be willing to perform the standard field sobriety test. Mrs. West replied by stating yes. Officer Harris then began to perform the standardized field sobriety tests. After the completion of the tests, Officer Harris made the decision to place Mrs. West under arrest for suspicion while driving intoxicated. Mrs. West was transported to the Dallas County Jail, where a warrant was obtained for a blood sample, and a specimen of her blood was subsequently retrieved at Parkland Hospital, and then she was transported back to Lou Sterrett. Again, Mrs. West is entitled to due process. Obviously, there's lab results that will be pending, and with that, we're going to show you and let the video speak for itself. I know you've been briefed on what's coming next, but we'll let the video speak for itself. Go and roll it.
Take 9 beautiful steps on the line, turn, and take 9 beautiful steps back down the line. Okay. On your turn, keep your front foot on the line and turn by taking small series of steps with the other foot. Watch your feet wide and walk. Count your steps out loud, arms by your side. Once you begin to walk, try to stop until you catch your own feet. You want to demonstrate to me? One, two, three, but you're going to go all the way to 9. You're going to turn around by taking a small series of steps. One, two, three, but you're going to go all the way to 9. Alright? You can start. I gave instructions on the side. I didn't know. They're giving me the test, so I figured you had time with it already, so I didn't know the difference. Alright, so right now it's either you complete the test or you pass it. I mean, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, does it? Alright. Can you stand right here for me? Alright, face your car. Alright. So for this test, go ahead and place both your feet together. Matter of fact, step to your left for 2 feet. Good. That's fine. Alright, place both your feet together. Make your arms down by your side. Keep your back straight. Alright. Maintain this position until I continue giving you the instructions and start doing the demonstration. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Yes. Alright. When I tell you to start, raise either leg. Keeping your raised foot approximately 6 inches off the ground and parallel to the ground. Keep your eyes on the raised foot. Keep your arms at your side. Both legs straight. While holding in position, count out loud 1001, 1002, 1003 until total stop. You want to demonstrate for you? 1001, 1002, 1003. Okay, so you can't do it. I'm not real sure that I can. Okay, so let's try.
So before I open it up to some questions, let me just say, what you witnessed and I witnessed in the further review of this certainly was not what has been depicted in social media. Listen, when we're wrong, and we will hold ourselves accountable. But no police chief can sit idly by while his officers get falsely vilified. False misrepresentations about my officers cannot go unchecked. They work too hard and they sacrifice too much. And so with that, we'll open it up to some questions.
Chief, can you say what she blew? And then I know you can't control the environment, all the noise, we couldn't hear everything. That's a lot of body cameras. But if you're at liberty to say, I know you don't want to do Zoom for a public video, what parts of the test did she fail? Because sometimes it's kind of hard to see. So can you say what she blew? And then
again, I will say this, the results of the breathalyzer were inconclusive because the test wasn't done properly.
Chief, what did you think of the investigation that you watched? Because it is hard for us to tell what's going on right now.
So what I can tell you from the investigation, and oftentimes when you will see, when you have opportunity to sit and watch it, I saw from the totality of the circumstances, I saw an officer who saw a vehicle that was driving erratically. I saw an officer initiate a vehicle stop. The vehicle stopping in the middle of the road in lane 2, which is another sign of the officer that something may be going on. In addition, then the rest of what transpired, for the totality of the circumstances, I believe the officer believed that she had probable cause to think that the individual was driving while intoxicated. Hold on, give me a sec. What I also saw, obviously, what it had or didn't see, she asked for if there was someone that could pick up the child, which she could have taken the child to CPS and chose not to. She could have towed the vehicle and she chose not to. I saw a professional officer. I saw a courteous officer. Regardless what the lab results show, I believe that she believed that there was probable cause to think that something was impacting her driving. Yes, sir.
You should have blood results now or something conclusive. I mean, is there any way we can get something that at least shows that the officers made a proper arrest?
Well, again, the proper arrest, the officer believes she had probable cause based on the totality of the circumstances, regardless what the lab results come back. We're hopeful the lab results come back quickly. But again, we have to treat this also like any other individual when it comes to those things. But again, based on the totality of the circumstances, that's what the officer believed.
Chief, in the rhetoric that we heard from the husband of Ms. West, the gubernatorial candidate, would you classify that, or could it be dangerous to the police department or police officers?
Well, it doesn't help. It doesn't help to continue to drive a wedge, particularly, in these times. It's not helpful. But again, the reality of it is that, when you see the comments, and obviously we take them seriously, which is why we reviewed everything. Again, we simply can't sit idly by. The comments that I read and I was told of certainly didn't take place in the manner in which they said they took place while you watch this video.
Chief, the probable cause affidavit says that there was a McDonald's cup in the vehicle that smelled like alcohol. Did y'all test that? Can you tell us what happened to that cup?
Well, again, we don't want to get too deep involved in the case, so we're not going to get into that too much. But I will tell you, we did not take the cup. That is not usually in the course and scope of a DWI investigation. But again, we don't want to get too into it. Again, I don't want to try this out here. This is specifically just to talk about why the vehicle was stopped and the question of lack of professionalism during this encounter, which I did not see.
So did the officer take that into consideration, the fact that she thought she smelled alcohol in the cup? Is that part of the totality?
That absolutely fits into the officer's mindset. Absolutely. Anything else?